Imagine stepping into what you think is a standard romantic comedy,
Right.
only to realize, like halfway through the first act, that the story is actually operating on the logic of a hostile corporate takeover.
Oh, that is such a perfect way to describe it. Because we usually expect romance narratives to be about two people finding equal footing,
Yeah, right.
learning each other's rhythms, building a shared life. But every now and then you encounter a piece of writing where one person just, they aren't interested in sharing the space at all.
No, they want to own it.
Exactly. They own the building, they hired the staff, they locked the doors, and their version of courtship feels, well, alarmingly close to conquest.
Which completely subverts all the expectations you bring to the genre.
It really does. Instead of watching a mutual connection unfold, you find yourself analyzing this gravitational pull of extreme power. You're trying to figure out if the protagonist is being wooed or just slowly consumed by a black hole.
And that gravitational pull is exactly what we are exploring in today's deep dive. We are looking at a highly dramatic, honestly incredibly captivating screenplay excerpt by Dawood Said Guliyu.
Yeah, it's titled Melodrama, Love, the Cure for Loneliness.
Yes. And whether you are a writer studying how to manipulate character dynamics, or a film buff, or just someone fascinated by the psychology of human relationships, this script is a masterclass.
Oh, absolutely.
It shows how modern tropes, extreme wealth, and intense power dynamics are woven together to create a genuinely unsettling narrative. I mean, it takes us from something as innocent as a snowy playground to a borderline violent power struggle on a bridge in Venice.
A wild escalation.
Completely wild. Okay, let's unpack this, because if we want to understand how the story weaponizes romance, we really have to start by looking at the meet cute.
Right, the setup.
Yeah, how our author twists it to immediately establish this predatory class divide between our two leads, Eva and Alex.
Because the author deliberately gives you the comfort of a recognizable trope before just pulling the rug right out from under you.
Uh-huh.
You get the snowy morning at a children's playground. Eve is just standing there, very grounded in this everyday reality, watching the kids.
Just a normal morning.
Right. And smack. A snowball hits her coat, she turns, and there is Alex on a landing, feigning complete innocence.
Right before she catches him packing another snowball.
Exactly. On paper, it is the textbook definition of a playful, lighthearted romance.
But the script absolutely refuses to let that innocent tone linger, because almost immediately we transition to a bus scene, and this scene reframes his playful persistence into something far more aggressive.
Oh, aggressive is the word.
Eva heads to a crowded bus stop, and Alex literally sprints after her moving bus and vaults onto it at the last possible second.
Catching a glare from the driver, too.
Yeah, and inside, it's standing room only. The script uses this cramped public space to firmly establish Eva's moral compass, right? An elderly woman boards, and Eva instantly surrenders her seat.
She's hardworking, compassionate.
Fundamentally ordinary.
Yeah.
But then look at Alex.
Well, contrast that physical environment with how he operates in it. He is an interloper in her world. As the bus sways through traffic, the passengers are pressed together, and Alex just leans his entire physical weight against her.
He doesn't.
He uses the chaos of the public transit system to enforce physical proximity.
And I found myself questioning that entirely. I mean, here's where it gets really interesting. Is chasing a woman onto a crowded city bus and hovering over her actually romantic?
Or is it intimidating?
Exactly. It feels designed to be intimidating. He essentially traps her in a space where she can't retreat.
Yeah, she's stuck.
And later, when she leaves her antique shop, she catches him just standing across the street staring silently at her window. It feels less like a fairy tale and more like, I don't know, Cinderella meeting a Wall Street corporate raider.
A Wall Street corporate raider. That is so accurate. Because what's fascinating here is how Said Guliyu justifies that corporate raider analogy by violently contrasting Eva's crowded bus commute with Alex's isolated reality.
Right, the second he stops following her.
Yeah, he slides into a white Maybach. He returns to a 2-story marble house situated on a private seashore. The script lingers on the sheer excess of his garage.
Oh, the cars.
Yes. It specifically lists 4 bays housing a black Porsche, a red Ferrari, a yellow Lamborghini, and a blue Bugatti.
And his wealth isn't just passive either. It's aggressively maintained. The screenplay shows us Alex sitting in his office, casually drinking coffee next to a large computer monitor that has been completely smashed to pieces.
It's destroyed.
Yeah. He is an investment mogul who builds businesses from the ground up. but that smashed screen is brilliant visual shorthand for his volatility. He destroys things that don't bend to his will.
And we see the volatility spill over into his personal life just a few pages later. During a date with a blonde model, he explicitly tells her he discards people because he despises monotony.
He actually says that to her face.
He does. And more revealingly, he admits he harbors grudges over past meanness and betrayal. He is a man who fixates on perceived wrongs.
Notice the brilliant thematic collision the author sets up there, though. Eva runs an antique shop. Her entire livelihood is predicated on carefully preserving the beauty and value of the past.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alex is a ruthless tech and investment giant who smashes hardware in fits of rage. He aggressively tears into the future while holding on to toxic emotional baggage.
So their romance isn't a blending of lives at all.
Not at all. It is a high-speed collision of completely incompatible worldviews.
And that fundamental incompatibility drives the central mechanism of the plot. Once the author establishes that massive financial and psychological gap, the narrative shifts focus.
Right.
It explores how a man incapable of processing normal emotional vulnerability utilizes his vast wealth to bridge that gap.
So wealth stops being a background detail. It becomes his primary language of love, or more accurately, his language of control.
Control, definitely.
Because the escalation is incredibly rapid. It starts with what looks like a quiet, thoughtful gesture outside Eva's shop. Alex pulls up in the silver Maybach. He brings a single red rose wrapped in film.
But wait, remember what he does first?
Oh, right. Before he leaves it on the bench for her to find, he pulls out a handkerchief and meticulously wipes the public bench down.
Which is a remarkably clinical action.
Yeah, it really is.
He isn't just giving her a gift, he is sanitizing her environment. He's imposing his standard of cleanliness and order onto her chaotic public world before allowing his token of affection to rest there.
And that clinical imposition just explodes in scale when he decides to dress her.
Oh, the boutique scene.
The boutique scene. He brings Eva to a wildly exclusive store where the manager, Arthur, practically bows to him.
Arthur's just boasting about stocking everything from stockings to diamonds from the world's most elite brands.
Right. And Alex bypasses standard gift-giving entirely. He buys Eva a red evening dress and stilettos. And while she is looking at herself in the mirror, he steps up behind her and personally clasps a Nicola Richie diamond necklace around her neck.
Pay close attention to the mechanics of that scene, too. There is a deafening absence of dialogue between them during the actual gifting.
He doesn't say anything.
He never asks for her preference. He never asks for her consent to place something of astronomical value on her body. He unilaterally decides to drape her in his financial power.
So what does this all mean for Eva's autonomy? I mean, by placing those diamonds on her without asking, he is essentially marking her as his territory.
Yes, exactly.
He is telling everyone in that room, and Eva herself, that she is now a beneficiary of his empire. And if the necklace is a subtle claiming of her physical person, the gallery exhibition scene is a nuclear strike on her professional independence.
A nuclear strike.
Yeah.
Because the gallery scene is the ultimate manifestation of his inability to be emotionally vulnerable. Eva has poured her soul into organizing this antique and art exhibition.
It's her big moment.
It is. It's meant to celebrate her curation, her business, her identity. The hall is packed with people admiring her hard work.
Until Alex decides to hijack the entire event.
Naturally.
His friends haul a massive 2-meter-tall canvas covered in white silk right into the center of her gallery. And when they pull the cloth back, it isn't an antique.
No, it is a hyper-realistic, larger-than-life portrait of Eva wearing a translucent wedding dress.
It's just wild.
A portrait commissioned privately by Alex, painted by his eccentric friend, David. In the context of melodrama, this is how extreme wealth acts as a surrogate for actual communication.
Because he can't just talk to her.
Right. Alex is too guarded, too fixated on past betrayals to simply tell Eva he envisions a future with her. Instead, he commissions a 2-meter monument to his own fantasy and drops it in the middle of her professional triumph, dwarfing her accomplishments with his desires.
See, the reaction in the room tells you everything you need to know about the power dynamic, honestly. The entire gallery goes dead silent.
Paralyzed.
Completely paralyzed by the sheer audacity of it. Until Alex's friend John initiates a slow clap.
Of course.
Alex didn't just give her a gift. He bought the oxygen in the room. He forced her professional audience to become the audience for his romantic conquest.
And this overwhelming, suffocating display of resources logically leads you to wonder about the environment that forged Alex.
Yeah, where does he come from?
If he treats courtship like an acquisition, what does his actual peer group look like? And the script answers this by introducing a supporting cast that functions as a deeply cynical mirror to the budding romance.
Let's talk about the dinner party at the multi-story mansion then, because calling it a Shark Tank feels way too simplistic.
It's worse than a Shark Tank.
It operates more like a vicious corporate audit where everyone is secretly looking for a write-off. The men and women are segregated initially.
Right.
The men are gathered around an electric fireplace radiating raw, unfiltered entitlement. There's this character named Max who goes on a tirade about wanting to settle down, but he aggressively disparages women of his own social class. Oh, he's awful. He claims wealthy women only care about thick lips, pomaded faces, and diamonds. And he insists he wants a modest, well-mannered woman who isn't wasteful.
Right. He demands modesty and frugality from a partner while sitting in a multi-story mansion, entirely blind to the hypocrisy of his own immense privilege.
Totally blind.
And the judgment within the group is cannibalistic.
Oh.
They immediately turn on another friend, Jim, mocking him for living entirely off his father's trust fund. They evaluate each other and their prospective partners, purely in terms of liabilities and assets.
And the women's side of the party is just as transactional, but the survival tactics there are purely psychological.
Yeah, it's very different.
Eva is pulled aside to a marble gazebo by a woman named Ada. Now, Ada is a fascinating construct. She acts as this cynical, battle-hardened protector.
A mentor of sorts.
Yeah. Before dinner even starts, she issues a stark warning to Eva, telling her never to show weakness or reveal personal details. Ada's exact reasoning is that these bitches will find out your weak points. You will be eaten alive.
Eaten alive.
She proudly admits she only survives in this social stratosphere because she keeps an active inventory of everyone's debts, lovers, and vulnerabilities. So I have to ask, is Ada actually a good friend to Eva, or is she just the audience's guide to how cruel this world is?
This raises an important question regarding Eva's longevity in this narrative.
Yeah.
We have a protagonist whose defining introductory trait was sacrificing her seat on a bus for a stranger.
Empathy.
Pure empathy. Now, she is thrust into an ecosystem where empathy is a fatal flaw, and everyone is calculating each other's net worth and emotional blind spots. Ada functions as a narrative device to articulate the invisible stakes of Eva dating Alex.
Surprisingly, though, Eva actually navigates the dinner really well by leveraging her grounded nature. She charms the hyper-judgmental table by recounting the snowball fight.
She tells the truth.
Exactly. She openly admits that Alex just walked away from her antique shop without even bothering to introduce himself. She uses honesty to disarm a room full of people obsessed with secrets.
But exposing the toxic, predatory nature of his social circle serves a dual purpose. It doesn't just make Eva look sympathetic.
Right.
It serves as a prologue for the darkness residing within Alex himself. The screenplay actively refuses to soften him into a misunderstood billionaire with a heart of gold. It forces you to confront his moral gray areas.
We get a glimpse of how society weaponizes him when he meets John's mother at a cafe. She is an older, immensely wealthy woman who looks down on the rest of high society.
Yeah.
Yet she pleads with Alex to save her son, who just blew $1.5 million at a casino. She praises Alex, noting his charity work and his ironclad rules forbidding drugs and weapons among his associates. To her, Alex is the moral compass. He's the respectable face of their chaotic wealth.
He is a man obsessed with control and order. And the script reinforces this with a subplot about cybersecurity.
Right, the Intercom building.
Yes. Alex owns a 35-story building called Intercom and hires an operative named Gene Lore to ruthlessly hunt down data leaks within his empire. He demands total oversight.
Which makes the sequence with the nuns so profoundly jarring.
Oh, the nuns.
I found myself completely bewildered trying to process the psychology of this scene. 2 Catholic nuns knock on Alex's door to collect donations. Alex answers the door, soaking wet, straight out of the shower, wearing absolutely nothing but a towel.
Nothing but a towel.
And he casually hands them a massive stack of cash. The older nun quickly thanks him and tries to pull the younger nun away, because the younger nun is visibly stunned and just staring at him.
Right.
But then, a few scenes later, the doorbell rings again. It's the young nun, returning alone. Alex opens the door, doesn't utter a single syllable, grabs her by the apron of her habit, and forcefully pulls her inside his house, shutting the door.
Yeah, it's intense.
Wait, how do we reconcile the guy who gently wiped a park bench for Eva with the guy who silently drags a nun into his house? Which one is the real Alex?
You reconcile it by understanding that the contradiction is the entire point. This is the unvarnished appeal of the bad boy or billionaire romance trope.
Okay, go on.
The engine driving the reader's interest is danger. He is capable of immense surgical tenderness with Eva, but fundamentally, he is a chaotic, rule-breaking force of nature. He is a man conditioned to take whatever he desires, whether that is a tech company, a 2-meter painting, or a passing whim at his front door.
Wow.
So the central dramatic tension isn't whether they will fall in love, it's asking, can Eva's pure, grounded nature tether this hurricane, or will his sheer velocity tear her apart?
And that tension, the collision of extreme wealth, suffocating control, and his chaotic impulses, it has to break somewhere.
It definitely does.
And Seijiko Yu forces all of it to boil over during their trip to Venice. The author uses a carnival setting to strip away the polished veneer of their courtship.
The Venetian sequence is structurally designed to push the emotional and physical stakes to their absolute breaking point. You leave the boardrooms and the exclusive boutiques and enter an environment defined by masks and anonymity.
The symbolism there is heavy-handed, but honestly incredibly effective. Alex buys her a €300 carnival mask adorned with a white feather. And as they stand on a gondola, another boat drifts past them, carrying 2 people dressed literally as an angel and a devil.
Right on the nose.
Yeah, it is a direct visual manifestation of the duality we've been tracking. Eva the morality versus Alex's hedonism.
And that visual metaphor immediately bleeds into physical action. The setting strips away their societal constraints.
Because they are walking down a narrow alley near a bridge, and they start playing a game of tag. But the escalation is violently fast. Alex catches her, pins her hard against a wall, and begins kissing her aggressively.
And
Then he reaches under her dress, and with one sharp jerk, he snaps her panties off.
which is a profound violation of public norms. And it's a moment of staggering physical dominance. He is exposing her completely.
He doesn't just stop there either. He runs out onto the bridge, dangles her underwear over the canal, and deliberately drops them into the water.
Into the canal.
It's humiliating. It's the ultimate power play from a man who has spent the entire script dictating the terms of their relationship. But, and this is huge, this is the moment Eva finally retaliates.
Yes.
She smiles, reaches into his pocket, pulls out his entire ring of keys, and drops them into the canal right after her underwear. Okay, let's unpack this, because the mechanics of this retaliation are brilliant.
They really are.
Up until this exact second, Alex has controlled every variable of their existence through his wealth and his access. Eva dropping those keys is her first genuine act of claiming power.
Absolutely.
Because those keys are at the bottom of a Venetian canal, the untouchable billionaire and his girlfriend are forced to climb a dirty, rusted fire escape just to break into the second-floor window of their own rented villa. She literally forces the corporate raider to scramble up a wall like a common street thief.
Look closely at the specific items sacrificed to the canal, too. The underwear represents Eva's physical vulnerability. Alex forcibly strips away her bodily defenses to assert dominance. But the keys represent Alex's structural power. His access, his properties, his wealth, his ability to lock and unlock the world at will. By dropping those keys, Eva successfully levels the playing field. She neutralizes his financial armor.
She neutralizes the armor, sure, but the script still gives Alex the chilling final note of the excerpt.
Oh, the final line.
Yeah. They manage to climb through the window. They are standing in the bedroom of the villa. Eva is wearing a pink dress. Alex doesn't say anything romantic. He sits down in a chair, looks at her, and issues a simple 2-word command. Raise your dress.
Wow.
And the scene ends as she begins to obey. Even after she leveled the playing field, even after she stripped him of his keys, the overarching dynamic of command and submission remains intact.
Which perfectly encapsulates the discomfort and the allure of this specific genre. The author refuses to give you a sanitized ending. He leaves you sitting in the gray area where romantic devotion and sheer, unadulterated control become indistinguishable from one another.
It is a wildly engaging, deeply provocative ride of a script. Seijiko Yu takes the foundational building blocks of romance, like the meet cute, the wealthy suitor, the grand gesture.
Yeah, the classics.
And he pumps them, full of extreme wealth, cynical societal pressures, and volatile power dynamics until they warp into something entirely new. It proves that in modern storytelling, capital isn't just a setting or a character trait. It is an active, aggressive weapon deployed in the pursuit of love.
And it forces the audience to examine why we are drawn to narratives where affection is inextricably linked to dominance and financial leverage.
Which brings us to the real reason a melodramatic screenplay excerpt like this matters to you. Stories like Melodrama, Love, hold a harsh, unflinching mirror up to our collective cultural fantasies.
Definitely.
They expose the reality that our desires surrounding love, status, and power are rarely neat and tidy. They are messy, they're deeply contradictory, and they thrive on high-stakes drama.
We all say we want the peaceful, equitable fairy tale.
But we are undeniably fascinated by the corporate raider who smashes monitors and buys out boutiques. We crave the security of a loving partnership, but we are magnetically drawn to the danger of a partner who might just drop our defenses into a canal.
It's true.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder as we wrap up today's analysis. If this screenplay accurately reflects the darker edges of our modern romantic fantasies, what does it say about us that we find the blurring of pure devotion and chaotic control so relentlessly entertaining?
Right.
Is true romance only actually possible when both people have something tangible to lose, like a pair of keys sinking into the Venetian water? Or, deep down, are we all just hoping to find someone who will finally let us lock the doors to the ballroom so we can dictate the rhythm of the dance? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive, and keep questioning the hidden mechanics of the stories you consume.